looking at the study questions for Joseph Epstein's Homo Hetero. I mean, this is not an easy thing to read. And the more I read it, the less I want to read it. But I do think that it is valuable, at least as an historical document, as a snapshot of what sort of typical attitude towards being gay and really being a gay man. I mean, I don't think that he at all takes into account gay women in this, but that's kind of typical of all the readings that we've looked at on gay issues, which is a problem in the way that I structure these readings, and I need to do better in the future. But I do think that it's worth reading, at least as an historical document. Number one, what is the source of Epstein's anger at his friend Richard during his time in the army? How do you account for this anger? Do you think it's justified? Well, it's not justified. I mean, how could it be justified? A perfectly innocent friend of his, he finds out that he's gay, or he finds out that his friend's gay, and he feels an anger. I don't really know if Epstein himself understands it. I would speculate that it's really about Epstein's. It's gay panic, is what it is. I mean, that is, Epstein is worried that his association with his friend Richard will reflect on his own reputation. That people might think that he's gay. If he has a gay friend, which of course is not justified. I mean, it's crazy, but it's not untypical or atypical experience. I think, again, this is the value of reading this is getting some notion of the history of attitudes towards homosexuality. And I think one of those, part of that history, is people afraid of being labeled as gay by association. Really, that's my interpretation, at least. Number two, Epstein says that, quote, given any choice in the matter, I should prefer sons who are heterosexual. This is written in America in 1970. You think that fathers today would, on the whole, agree or differ? That's obviously a question of your personal take on things. I don't know. It was pretty typical in 1970. I think that maybe we live in a society where, and there always have been fathers who wouldn't care, right? There have always been fathers who would not really care whether their sons were gay or not. But I think that we're heading towards a different sort of society in which most fathers really wouldn't care that much. I don't know. You care about everything about your kids, who they are, what they do. But I think we're moving towards a society it just would not be a blow to find out that your son was gay. Although I don't know. I mean, there's still plenty of fathers who do, to whom it would be a blow. So I don't know what the answer is. Number three, Epstein says that homosexuals are cursed. What does he mean by this? I think this is the central question, the central issue of the whole essay, is the idea that homosexuals are cursed. Obviously, he regards homosexuality, therefore, as an affliction, but that it's a mysterious affliction, right? That is, being cursed is like Job. You haven't done anything to deserve it. You haven't, there's no accounting for why. It's just something that happens, and it's not something that people bring on themselves or something that it just happens. People are born this way, and it's a great affliction, right? That is, it's this mysterious thing to some people's identity that isolates them from other people and affects their lives in negative ways, according to Epstein. So to regard it as a kind of a curse is, I think, reflective of that attitude that homosexuality is like a mysterious affliction in his mind. Number four, Epstein says that even if I had a desire for a man, I would try my damnedest to fight it off. Why? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I mean, again, it is a really complex question, and it's a really interesting snapshot of attitudes towards homosexuality. Typical ones, I wouldn't say universal ones. From 50 years ago, I mean, deep down, because you think it was wrong, that there's something wrong with having a desire for a man, or at least acting on it. So I guess there's no other really answer to the question. Why would you fight off a desire you had? Because you think it's wrong, you know. But then the question, some desires we have are wrong. I mean, in the sense that we shouldn't fulfill them. But desire for another man in itself, why would he think that that's wrong? I don't know. I mean, because it was generally regarded as wrong, I guess. Still is amongst a lot of people. Number five, Epstein writes, certainly nowadays it is not so easy to say heterosexually speaking what is natural and what is not. The only standards left us for determining what is not natural sexually are physical injury and lack of consent. All else apparently goes. This being the case, one can't say with the same old confidence that homosexuality is unnatural, however deeply one might feel that it is. My comment on this is here he basically admits that there's nothing unnatural about gay sex. Why then do you think he mentions his feeling that it is? Well, I mean, I think that feeling of revulsion or dismay or being repulsed is really the most important element of his view of homosexuality. That is, even though there's no rational reason to condemn it as being unnatural or wrong, he can't get over his feeling of revulsion or repulsion or disgust at the idea of it. And I think that's important because I think he's like a lot of other people in that respect. Number six, Epstein characterizes homosexuality as a tyranny. Why? This is also, I think, quite interesting. The idea that if you are gay, it dominates your whole life. You are tyrannized by your sexuality. Whereas if you're straight, you're just straight, right? It's just your sex life or your sexuality is just part of who you are. Where, from Epstein's point of view, being gay, it just dominates your whole personality. That's the idea. And again, I think it's ridiculous, but it does show certain attitude, right? That is, if you're heterosexual, you just get to be standard and explore your individuality, But if you're gay, you're defined by your gayness, right? That's the idea. Number seven, there's a lot of questions here. Towards the end of the essay, Epstein writes that if I had the power to do so, I would wish homosexuality off the face of this earth. Why? This is the line that really incensed Merle Miller, I think, and motivated him to write his response. But from Epstein's point of view, he's just being humane because he believes that homosexuality causes suffering amongst the people who are gay. And so, if you think that that's true, then I guess you would want suffering to be lower. So you would wish that people weren't gay. Number eight, Epstein claims that homosexuals, they're different from the rest of his house. So, well, I don't know. I mean, they're different. I mean, he's a liberal, so he doesn't think that black and white people are fundamentally different. He doesn't think that Jewish people and Gentile people are fundamentally different, but he does think that homosexuals and heterosexuals are fundamentally different. I don't know how you justify something like that. Maybe it's a pure prejudice. Number nine, is Epstein's article homophobic? Why or why not? I think I don't. That's an open-ended question. I think almost everyone said yes, and I think by our contemporary standards, it certainly is. I wonder by 1970 standards, was it considered homophobic? Again, Merle Miller certainly thought so because it motivated him to write his response because he thought it was deeply homophobic. If that word actually existed in 1970, I'm not even sure. Boy, it's complex, isn't it?